Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Nichols-Buckley, and I teach first year writing at the University of Mississippi. And I am so excited to be here today for the NWP in the South Conference to share one of my favorite assignments from my Writing 102 class called The Research Journey. If you've ever been in the situation I have been in where you were just frustrated with teaching an annotated bibliography assignment or a heavy research assignment, then this might be helpful for you. Before I go on, I just want to give a shout out to the colleagues I have who collaborated with me on this assignment. Those include Chip Duncan and my fast track cohort, who over the years we have adapted this assignment, changed it. We've even done assessments on it to try to improve it. They are an amazing team. They were the ones I felt most comfortable coming to and saying, I hate teaching the annotated bibliography. Let's do something different. And they embraced it. And also my colleague Colleen Thorndike, who introduced me to Sutori, which is the online platform that I use for this assignment, and who also just helped, ping pong ideas when I told her I'm just so over how we teach the traditional annotated bib. So here were some of my original issues with the annotated bibliography assignment. I felt like students seemed more concerned with meeting the formatting requirements of the assignment than actually understanding why we did it, and why collecting and analyzing and evaluating research is such an important part of the writing process. They were much more concerned with, is my hanging indent correct? Or am I putting them in the right order? And I felt like the actual annotations often lacked heart or interest and would rely more on just repetition. So every source is saying the same thing. I also wanted students to have an embedded reflection in the assignment. Now that's a part that I have added on my own and kind of makes the assignment different, but I wanted students to track their progress as the assignment went on. How did they start with their research? What were the issues they were having as they researched? How did they overcome those challenges? And what have they sort of learned about themselves? And then full disclosure, I hated grading them. They were tedious. And this option is an online option that is much more visually appealing and interactive. It's just more fun to grade. So the project itself, I've renamed it the Research Journey Project as opposed to the annotated bibliography. This in and of itself takes away a little bit of that intimidation factor for my students, especially if they have never heard of an annotated bibliography before. Just simply calling it the Research Journey Project takes away some of that fear. So some highlights from the project, I just wanted to share some resources that I use. I used to teach at the high school level, and one of my favorite essays to have students read was Every Trip is a Quest. This is from Thomas Foster's book, How to Read Literature Like a Professor. Essentially, Foster breaks down the quest motif. And what I would do is we would read the essay, and then my students would break down the quest motif from the perspective of the student writer or researcher. And so here are just some of the things that we would come up with. Essentially, the quester is the researcher, the person who's going into the research realm. The Holy Grail, it depends on the student, right? Some students, the Holy Grail is that source they've been looking for that, it says exactly what they're thinking. For some, it's that finished product, the paper itself. And then for some, it's the grade, hopefully an A+. We talk about dragons. What are these obstacles you have to overcome as the quester? For some, it's coming up with the correct search terms. For some, it's just learning how to reach out for help, right? For some, it's that opposing view that really challenges their thought and makes them have to do more research, which is all a healthy part of the process. It's hard to convince them of that. And then for some, it's procrastination, just putting it off. So we talk about those, and then we look at the real reasons for the quest. So according to Foster in his essay, the real reason for a quest is always self-knowledge. So we talk about, what is it that you might gain from this research project aside from the actual Holy Grail, the paper, right? So it could be an understanding of one's own writing process, how to think critically, and potentially, it could change their ideas about something, assumptions that they had made before they'd gone into the research. We hope so, right? So the assignment sheet, I would love to email you a copy of my assignment sheet if you're interested, but this could be easily adapted to whatever you're doing in the classroom at whatever level. I could really see this as a interesting middle school and high school research project as well. One of the things I try to emphasize with the sources on when I'm talking about the sources themselves is the research journey metaphors. So how students might envision their sources as clear paths. So a clear path source would be one that just aligns with what you were already assuming. And sometimes students, all they are looking for are clear path sources, and that's a real problem when we think about critical thought, right? So they have to push past just the clear path source. Some sources are detours, which offer different perspectives that students didn't even think about when they went into the research. These can also be really healthy in helping them with critical thinking. And some sources are roadblocks. They just stop students in their tracks. You might think of these as counterclaim sources or opposing view sources. They can be just as important as the clear paths because they can further inform students about their research question and could potentially even have them have a more nuanced approach to how they write the paper. We also use connections boxes. So these are in the Sutori, which I'll show you in a moment. These are where students are connecting their sources. They're actually synthesizing the material. And then the reflection boxes are where students are reflecting on their own process as researchers. So let me show you an example. Okay, so this is a sample project from one of my students from a few years ago, and you can see how it's set up. It's very visually appealing. This one is on healthy food options on college campuses and whether or not the health benefits outweigh the economic risks that a college may take on by providing healthier food options. As we go through this project, you can see the student source boxes. You see the visual appeal. Excuse me. You also see more of the traditional annotation with an MLA citation in this case, and a source annotation where the student's really evaluating the sources. What's nice as the teacher is we can actually link into these sources. So instead of me just reading a Word document, I can really interact with the source material and see where the student is coming from. And also, if I see there's a problem ahead, I can catch it really easily. On top of the source boxes, which she has marked in blue, there are the connections boxes where the student is really pushing into how source 1 and 2 connect. This is the synthesis work that might even make its way into the paper eventually as some of the paragraph body of the paper information. As we go through, we also see reflections boxes where the students reflecting on their own research process, what they find intriguing, what they might still need to research, based on how everything's going right now. And then toward the end, we have the working claim. And this is so essential to the teacher because here I can see the student coming up with the potential thesis statement for the future paper. And if I see that there's a problem with maybe the source material or the direction, I can handle that before they ever start writing the paper. So for this student, an example, she was interested in the economic impacts on colleges, but none of her sources really talk about that in depth. And so when she is pushing that as part of her paper, I might say, you need some more source material on those economic impacts for these different colleges. How much more expensive would it be to provide healthy options for students? So y'all, that is the assignment. I'm getting low on my time here, so I'm going to wrap things up. But here is my email address. If you need to email me for the assignment sheet, I would love to share it with you. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day.